All right. Welcome back to the Fitness and Family Podcast. I am so happy you are here to join me. And my next guest, I'm really excited on the topics we're going to be discussing. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction. So, Ginny is a mother of two neurodivergent children, one with autism and the other with ADHD, and she lives in New Mexico. By day, she works as a geologist and she turns to art as a daily outlet to manage anxiety, relieve stress, gain mental clarity, and more. Welcome, Ginny. I'm so happy that you are with us on my podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. All right. So, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, well, you did a pretty good job there. My basic brief spiel is that I'm an artist, a geologist, and a parent in a neurodiverse family. Um, and we live in New Mexico, and we really enjoy making the most of just the beautiful landscape out here, getting out for camping and hiking and painting, and yeah.
That is fantastic. I need to get myself out of my little home in Ohio and get to the west of the Mississippi. I've done it once just to see just the landscape because I hear so much about it, just Arizona, New Mexico, those areas. Because I just from pictures, I can just tell like just what it does for just your like mental clarity, just to be out in that area, the colors and everything.
It's
So,
beautiful.
oh,
Fall is a great time of year for a Western trip.
probably when the heat is down.
Hmm. Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that actually works. So I'll have to think about that in the future because for some reason our family goes to Florida in the middle of the summer. Why? Who knows? Typical Ohioans. All right. So let's kind of talk about, how did you find art as a therapy for yourself?
Yeah, so I would say that I have always been an artist. From as a kid, where my most frequent wish list item was a very broad stuff to make things with. If it was something I could be doing with my hands, something visual, I was happy. Um, and so with that, with doing so much, there was kind of an innate knowing that art helped generally. And whether that was like crocheting helped me pay attention in philosophy class, or just how much better I feel as a human after spending some time making pottery. That was just generally art helps. It helps me feel better.
Ah, for
A big,
sure.
yeah. And then a big shift I think happened with the COVID lockdowns, where with that experience, I knew having some creative project that I could dive into daily would just help with the stress of it all.
Mhm.
So what I started doing was these 4x4 doodles every day, doodle and watercolor. And I have, if you're watching, um, I have a book I
Oh yeah,
put
let me
together
see
of
this.
them. So
Wow.
I did one of these 4x4s every day. This book doesn't have every single one, but it's a
Oh, that's
collection I put
amazing.
together for a state fair. And and that really helped to have that project. But at the same
Mhm.
time, we had two preschool age children who were home full time.
Mhm.
Um, we were having to work remotely. We weren't getting any external help. So it was just all of us as a family all the time. I know that we were far from alone in that. There were a whole lot
Mhm.
across the country. We were all going
Mhm.
through it. So on the one hand, so I would often then end up doing my doodle after bedtime, after the kids went to bed, which was not a completely linear. All right, you get into bed at 7:30 and now I
And
have
that
free
didn't exist anymore during COVID. Yeah. You tried to keep that schedule, and that's one
time.
other thing that just like a wrench into what was already a hard enough life.
Yeah. Yeah, so then I would usually end up staying up a little bit too late to
Mhm.
finish up. So that also threw a little bit of sleep deprivation into the mix, which didn't. which was not so helpful. And later that year, I ended up joining a parenting group for other parents of neurodivergent and otherwise out of the box kids. And some of the early workshops for that were really focused around self-care, and especially with self-care that's actually doable for people who don't have any free time.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no assumption that, like, okay, well, once a week, set aside 3 hours for your spa time. It was, we know at best you can steal pockets of time and create these little windows to take care of yourself. And that was an aha for me that I could take this same practice, but instead of my goal is to create one drawing every day, I could set a discrete amount of time. Like, I can take 5 minutes, set the environment, do my doodle for the 5 minutes, and then I was done. Um, and so that was a pivotal shift. And there's been more iterations since then.
Mm-hmm.
But that basic framework has stayed the same.
That's so interesting that you talk about, because I just made a note here that it's not about starting something and just seeing, I'm just going to do this to the end. It's actually setting aside that time and being like, this is how long it takes me to do this. This is what I am going to be doing. And if I'm going to do this the next day, creating that schedule in a world at the time where we didn't know what the next day would bring. So you were trying to just create this like comfort within yourself, which I like how that group you talked about self-care for yourself first, because you got to be able to take care of yourself first in order to take care of your family. And self-care, a lot of times people think it's about, going to the spa, going to the gym, buying your next set of clothes or shoes. There's so much more to self-care. It's finding what makes you feel the most comfortable.
Right. It's taking care of a human's needs, just
Mhm.
like we do for our kids. It's just we're the human whose needs
Yeah,
that we are more likely to neglect.
yeah,
But we're human and we require care.
we do. We do require care, and we often just, yeah, forget about ourselves first. And I like that you brought up crocheting. I completely forgot about crocheting because I know, like me growing up with art, I still remember at third grade making this tiger mask. And I was so proud of myself in art. And I know, like, not everybody has that, like, creative bug that just bounces out,
Mhm.
but everybody has some kind of creativity in them. It's just finding what it is. So whether it is like what I like to do with the painting or even the crocheting. I remember
Mhm.
making when I was little, my mom's outdoor cat. I made her a hat. I made her a blanket. I basically dressed her up like a
Okay.
poodle. I don't know why, but it's interesting how you take those things that you did as a kid, because a lot of times with the creativity with we watch our kids even when they're learning to just like my son right now is learning to just draw inside the lines. He does not have a patience level, but he's trying. So you take it as a kid, you're like, that is calming them down. And then you find that doing it even as an adult.
Right.
There's something about that. Like what do you think, since your creativity is so strong within you, what do you think is like that mind body connection that causes almost that sense of calmness?
Yeah, and it's, our bodies need to physically process a whole lot, process stress, process just the things going around us. And there are different ways that we do that, like, sleeping, that is a big way that our bodies help
Right.
process. But then when we are in like doing something physical, including art, including crochet or knitting, drawing, pottery, any of those things,
Mm-hmm.
we kind of get out of our logic brain. It starts to
Mm-hmm.
um not so much thinking in language and the doing the logical thinking and processing, and it gives our body that chance to
Okay.
physically process the stress and help form that connection. Um,
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because we always like to think one step ahead. So doing this allows us to just tap into our body and let the motions take charge
right.
instead of being like, this comes next, this comes next. Just relax and let it just go. I don't think this is the right comparison, but it's what comes to mind. Because obviously, I'm a fitness instructor. That's almost sometimes my calming, but yet at the same time, it can be actually grueling on the body. But they
Mhm.
always have this thing called like a runner's high. It's where you like tap into your body, and your body, it's a sense of like calmness. Your body knows what it does. So I kind of almost like think about it the same when I'm like, when you're doing some kind of let's get into the clay sculpting because you are
Mhm.
using more of your muscles, more of your body to do those different shapes that you almost get to this sense of just calmness where your heart level at the same time almost lowers down as you're going into shaping whatever vase pot or anything like that. Yeah, I want to talk about clay sculpting. Not all of us have the equipment for it,
Oh yeah. Yeah, that
right?
way is
What is it though? 'Cause I almost find that going from the painting, crocheting, going into more of the body motions of clay sculpting. How did you get into that? And is it, if we don't have that equipment or something, is there something that you could like help the rest of us who want to try this but don't know how to get started into it? Any like recommendations?
well, it can go all the way back to again when I was a little kid. We did live in a desert area, so rain was infrequent. And when it rained, we would go outside and play in the mud and make little animals.
Huh?
So go outside and play in the mud.
Go back into that. Go play in the mud with your kids. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. What kids?
So I took my first pottery classes in high school. And yeah, I think a big part of that is there is that actual, this clay is from the ground. It is dirt in a very broad. All the potters out there and all the geologists out there are going, oh, it's not dirt. So, but it's dirt, basically. It's part of the
Right,
ground.
I totally forgot. Geologist by day, yes.
Yes. Um, so it is a connection to the earth of, and
Mhm,
being out in nature is good for us. Um, and then I do a lot on the pottery wheel where it's spinning the whole time, and
mhm,
I would say it's almost meditative because it's spinning around. You've got the clay spinning in your hands, between your hands. It's um, soft, and it's this really repetitive, continuous
mhm,
motion. And again,
mhm,
just getting out of that logic brain, and it is very physical. And I think the correlations with exercise are real. That there is a similar, your body's doing similar things with the processing, helping to
mhm.
process. It can happen pretty much anything physical, um, where you're getting out of that
Yeah.
out of that logic brain and into a little bit more of a flow state. And that for different people, there are different activities that are they maybe connect with more.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
it's so
Right,
art
right,
and physical activity, those are
right.
both two sides of the same coin, I'd say. Um,
Yeah, that's true. I do like it how you talk about getting into almost like a meditative state
mhm,
when you do a lot of these things. And we constantly like go back to the circle of your brain shuts down, you relax, heart rate goes down, and you go into just the motions. And
mhm,
then also pulling back into what we talked to before, setting that time. I do
right.
like that how setting the time thing. And I'm so glad you shared that book that you talked about where you were doing that. You said during COVID, but you're still doing it. It is a kind of like almost a practice that you keep on doing, and it gets you ready for the. Now you do it in the morning, or when do you do that?
I do it in the morning because
Gets you
that's what
ready
we're
for your day.
It gets me ready for my day, but it is something that it could also be like taking 5 minutes right before bed. That could be a great way to
Yeah,
help still your mind in the
yeah.
evening, or like stealing 5 minutes in the school pickup line. If you're just sitting
Mm,
there, there's a lot of times throughout the
good.
day, or like for a little bit of a recharge after a particularly stressful event.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And a lot of us don't think about it. Like when I go through like a stressful thing, I'll go through deep breathing exercises.
Mhm.
But I know that's not for a lot of people, is to be able to literally just turn your brain and go into those exercises. But all of us can doodle, color, create things in some
Yeah.
way, even if you have just like a little piece of paper that you pull out of your car, like you said, for the pickup line. You
Mhm.
got 10, 15 minutes. What are you going to do? Let's get off our
And,
phones.
and it can be so simple. I have again in front of me, this was from this year out in January in particular. I was doing about 5 minutes a day. And this one that
Mhm.
I'm showing right now has just a series of dashes, like if you're making tally marks.
Yeah,
So it, you don't need to be an artist to be able to make tally marks. It's just a repetitive motion.
yeah.
And with these ones, I have a piece of music on my computer that is 7 minutes long
Mhm.
that I play during my morning doodle, and when it ends, I stop. So all of the pages in this little book are are partial. You can in some of them you can see where I stop, and some of them it's not quite as obvious,
Mhm.
but it's very much about I was doing a separate one each day, but it wasn't to get to a complete image or piece of art.
Mhm.
It was just for the duration of time.
Yep. Yep. Well, that's great. So, everybody listening, what was always recommended, like at the end of the day, we'll just say, they say journal. Journal three things that you're grateful for. And it's funny because I still have actually my notebook. And this is now where I just take all of my notes of, just everybody wonderful that I get to talk to. But 2022, we were still in COVID. I would have
Mhm.
notes, and it was almost like I was forcing myself to actually do these journals. But I'm like, this isn't how my brain thinks. My brain just doesn't sit down. Like, obviously, when I'm talking to somebody, I sit down and I take notes, but my brain doesn't be like, what am I grateful for today? But my brain does relate to art in the way how you're explaining it. So there's many, many different ways, everybody, for how you can reduce your level of stress. Just need to clear your brain. It doesn't have to be literally, I'm going to write something down. So I absolutely love that you were able to share that. Okay, before we go into talking about your wonderful, beautiful kids, I'm going to throw a question in that I didn't ask you, but it's really, really easy. So, of all the different art forms that you have done throughout your whole life, can you rank like the top three that literally give you the most joy?
Pottery definitely. That one's a big constant one, and having my own
Mhm.
wheel is fantastic.
I feel
I'm
like
not,
you need to go into glass blowing. That's going to be your next thing,
well, that would be so much fun.
right? Okay, what
A
about your second
second-
one?
so a second one, the other thing I do a lot of out here, it's plein air painting, and that's just painting outside from life. So I have a little backpack with all my supplies, and I go for a little hike in the foothills and stop and paint outdoors. So
Like
it's
paint what you see, or just paint what you're thinking about, or just
paint what I
anything?
see.
Oh, wow. And I bet out there, yeah, that's some beautiful scenery.
Yeah, it is. So and one of the reasons that's so high up there is because it combines the outdoors,
Mhm.
just being out in nature, and then it's usually pretty quiet and still, and it brings all those together.
I love that.
And for the third, I think I'm going to have to say learning something new.
Oh, just in general, just learning
I
something.
just
I love that.
every
That's so important, though,
yeah,
is to always want to learn something. So,
I'm always anytime I see a new creative technique or something, I go, oh, I can do that. I want to learn how to do that. And so I got to
do you
work.
think that comes with age. Oh, I'm only saying that because I feel like the last like year, 2 years, I would say any recipe I find, I'm like, I'm gonna try that. I used to be terrified of cooking or baking. And I kind of feel like, does that come with age where you're like, just gonna try it? What's the worst that can happen?
Um, it's been a constant for my life.
Okay.
Um, that was going back to my wish list request was always something to make things with. It could be a
Mm,
totally new craft that I hadn't tried before,
hmm.
and I think that's just part of how my brain works.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I
No, that's
get
awesome.
interested in oh, that looks different.
Yeah. I
Try
want to
it.
try this.
Mhm.
If they can do it, why can't I do it? The type of
Exactly.
mentality. Yeah. And it's going to turn out the way that I maybe imagined it, but it's something to try. And I'll teach myself something. Oh, good. I know I threw that little like question into you.
Not a
All
problem.
right. All right, let's go to your two beautiful kids. So you have one with ADHD and one with autism.
Mhm.
What different, I know we touched on this a little bit, kind of you're talking about your day-to-day activities you were doing with them during COVID, but let's kind of elaborate a little bit. So what different forms of art have you found to help them learn and deal with tough situations?
Yeah, so one of them is particularly drawn to art. They both do what so one of them will use his whiteboard and create some repeated drawings and lists and things that are familiar and comfortable, and that's really helpful for his brain just to have that repeated comfort. Lately he's been doing like traffic signs and red lights, and he's been
Okay.
following along on Google Maps at the same time. So he's like going through street views and doing this dynamic route.
Okay.
So he's got that. It helps to provide some routine and regularity in his life. My other kid is very visual and spatially oriented, and loves creating art. He sometimes he has an idea in his brain, and if it's not coming out perfectly the first time, it can be really frustrating to him. And I get that. I feel that way too sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
We have some some little sayings that we'll do back and forth. Like we talk about one we do is I'll ask who makes the most bad art, and the response is the best artists. And that's just trying to like you just keep going. And people don't get to be a good artist by just being amazing from day one. It's
Okay.
from making a whole lot of bad along the way. And then another one is,
Mm.
oh, it just went out of my brain.
I
Something
just
about,
love that.
yeah. We use the progress, not perfection.
Oh, okay.
But then
Okay. That's very interesting. Okay.
yeah, then a specific activity that we'll do together with art. It's this was something that my mom came up with when I was a kid, and we call it chain drawings or chain pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll each start with a blank piece of paper, and we set a 5 minute timer. You can draw whatever you want for the 5 minutes. Then we swap paper, set another timer, and we add to the other person's piece. And we swap back and forth until we feel like we're done. Sometimes there's a set number at the beginning, sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, we're done now. And then we look over the finished pieces and talk about what we like and laugh about them.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like about that for him in particular is that when we're doing that, it's not so much about what his end goal is in mind. Because he knows I'm going to add unpredictable stuff to his drawing. So he just starts off by he has less of a
Yeah. Yeah.
attachment to how it's going to be in the end, and that frees him up to play with it and have fun and just get into
Yeah.
the
It's not get the emotional attachment to it. You're kind of like breaking that emotion and allowing him to almost when he gets this picture, like you said, it's not what he expected, but it's okay.
Mhm.
It's okay to not be what you thought. Make it something different.
Right.
Okay. I really like that activity.
It's so much fun.
For that, I like it just for anybody's age, and especially even me, I don't consider myself a perfectionist, but I very much am very ritual like diligent with things.
Hmm.
If Now I'm one that always shows up late to something, but if someone shows up late to my event or something, I get mad. But yet I'm the one who shows up late. But I'm very much like time oriented. Like my Google Calendar is color coded. All the events are have a certain color depending what they are throughout the whole entire year. So when something is thrown at me and it's not what I want, yeah, I have a hard time being able to adapt.
Hmm.
It's yeah, it's a flaw. I'll admit to it. So almost doing this chain picture where I'm thinking, because I like to draw, I always did, where I'm thinking what I want it to be. That could help so many adults too. All these different examples that you're given just with your uh not, this is why I take notes. Because I cannot remember things.
Of course.
Um your with your book with the pictures in the morning and being able to be like that timer's done, I'm stopping. It's not going to be what I wanted it to be, but I'm okay with it. I'm adapting. I'm adapting to change. And I think that's what is so amazing with art is that you're adapting to what you think it could be, but it's beautiful with how it turns out.
Right.
Did I say all that right?
I think so. It sounds good to me. And
Because
then
I
also
love how
just
you're
knowing,
explaining all of this stuff. Yeah.
and then so also for myself, knowing that I absolutely do some artwork where I have a specific goal in mind and I might have a deadline and I'm trying to get a piece done. But when I'm specifically like, I need art, I need something to help me process stress. I need something to help just give my brain that little bit every day. That's where I change the rules on myself so
Mhm.
that it that to allow myself to focus on the process and not the product. And
Yes.
that's where a lot of the mental health benefits come in when I remove all those expectations and objectives.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Process, not the product. And absolutely, yes, with the mental health, which I'm so happy you came on here to talk about that because mental health is always going to be a thing. It will never get away. But how can you hope just a little bit? Just a little bit can go a very long way.
Right. And it's that regular, consistent reminder to your brain that we're safe, we've
Yeah,
got this, and just a reminder to yourself that you're taking care of yourself.
perfectly said. And I'm going to try some of these things on my son. Like I said, he's 5.5 going into kindergarten. He's very hyper.
Hmm.
And even the teacher said the other day, the littlest things were setting him off. And we don't,
Hmm.
and she's like, it could be because he's going to go into kindergarten. The kids know when change is happening, but just the littlest things were setting him off, I guess. And he had these highs and lows. So I think I'm going to try, especially that, the chain picture. I'm definitely going to do that. Well, perfect. Well, I'm so glad you were able to come on here. We got one more question. If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be? And then same for your future self.
So I think for my younger self, I would probably just thank her for showing up consistently, trying all the different things. It's what built up to get me to to where I am today. Um, and so I was thinking about the question about my older self. I'm not sure what I would tell my future self, but I think my future self might tell me that it's okay if I don't know what the end result of, just anything that I'm going through or working
Hmm.
on is going to be. But that if it keeps showing up with that consistency and that care for myself and for my family, that the journey will be beautiful and the end result will be too. And not
Nice.
anything I could imagine right now.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Now, do you do any like artwork and stuff that you sell?
I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I've got
awesome.
a lot of my pottery is in an Etsy shop. That's Ginny Bracht art. And then with my
Oh,
paintings, I've got I do some group shows in
hmm.
local. So,
All right. So yeah, everyone, if you are local and Jenny will be sharing where you can find her, absolutely check it out. And yeah, we'll drop that Etsy shop in the show notes, and this video will be on YouTube. Um, Podcast will be streaming on multiple platforms. So we'll definitely show the link to your Etsy shop because I'm definitely going to go check it out. So just kind of add into that, where can people find you in general?
yeah, the best place to connect with me is my email list. So I send out emails that are designed to help support you through building and having a regular art practice for that's specifically like the tiny art that you don't need experience or materials, like doing the little dashes and keeping up that routine. So if you go to ginnybracht.com/peace, that you can sign up there and you'll get first I think it was a short video. It was less than 10 minutes, maybe five, six, seven, somewhere in there. It's a video tutorial walking through three patterns that I regularly come back to, that you can use
Oh,
to just infuse
perfect.
a little bit of art into your day. And then you'll start getting the emails with additional encouragement and resources to help you keep going.
Oh, nice. And honestly, yeah, those emails, I'm on other email groups and stuff. Sometimes they just are what you need for that day.
Yeah,
They really are. And your last name you spell Bracht,
correct.
right?
And my first name,
All
it's
right.
Ginny, Ginny.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, awesome. And then obviously Facebook. We can always follow on Facebook.
Yeah. I'm on Ginny Bracht Art and Facebook and Instagram too. So
All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining me. I absolutely loved this topic. This is nothing that I could have imagined that we could have talked about. So thank you just for sharing all of your personal stuff with your family and then just giving us just the general just audience this ideas on how art can be so good for our mental health.
it was a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Now, if you aren't following the Family and Fitness and Family podcast, well, doesn't really matter if you flip up, but the Fitness and Family podcast, make sure you follow, save this episode, download this episode. There's so much information. And until next time, I will see you later. All right. Bye.